So, you guys like war? Today I'm going to be giving you an in-depth breakdown on the theme Hellfire from Guilty Gear Strive. But before we get into that, we first have to discuss the man that is behind the theme, Daisuke Ishiwatari, as well as the character that it is composed for. So, let's get into it. Daisuke Ishiwatari is a South African-Japanese composer born on August 14, 1973 in Johannesburg, South Africa. Sadly, not a whole lot is known about his childhood or early development, but what we can infer is that he had to have had an introduction to video games and music at a young age, as he's been composing music for Arc System Works since 1995, and has eventually become its chief creative officer for the company. Now, Guilty Gear is home to a lot of crazy and wacky characters, and the wacky character that we're going to be looking at today is none other than Leo Whitefang. Now, to give you a rundown on his story, I would first have to go through the crazy and convoluted trail that is Guilty Gear's lore, and frankly, I don't feel like sitting here for 7 hours trying to explain that to you. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm only going to give you the tidbits and things that actually matter to his character, and just hope that you understand it from there. Now, quick little rundown. Leo Whitefang is a German man who was born during this 100-year war against beings called Gears, which was then later dubbed the Crusades. He then joined a military force named the Sacred Order of the Holy Knights alongside another important character to the Guilty Gear story, Kai Kiske. At some point, Leo gets his own unit and is tasked with leading a charge against the Gears that almost cost him and his unit's lives. After the war, he then gets appointed as the second king of his nation, Illyria, along with Kai, who then is appointed to be the first king of Illyria. With the introductions out of the way, I think it's finally time to start talking about Leo Whitefang's theme, Hellfire from Guilty Gear Strive. In this opening segment, Leo describes how he thinks that he is the only person that has so far survived this ordeal of war against an undescribed enemy, which he then dubs throughout the rest of the song as bastards. We know throughout the breakthrough that I did that these are in fact the Gears, but since Gears aren't a necessary race of anything in specific, they can only be called what they are by their enemies, in this case being dubbed bastards.
One morning, strangers say hello to me. Tomorrow their names will be carved on the stone. We're going home, but I'm a terrible liar. Forgive me, that's not the act of betrayal.
The strangers that Leo talks about here are implied to be his old allies and subordinates in war. He dubs them strangers because he does not want to get attached to them, for he knows that they are going to soon die, hence the line that follows right afterwards. He calls himself a liar for saying they will return home and asks for forgiveness because they will not be buried in a hero's resting place. They are then buried in a place where it will not be known, which is to them their Arc de Triomphe.
For the sake of the day, keep crying out. Swing the soul, swing the soul, swing the freaking soul down.
Leo asks all of his able-bodied men to continue to fight for a better day, swinging their swords down no matter what in order to see the glory that is the kingdom of Illyria and it prosper later on. No matter how far gone they might be in the underworld, they still have a job to do in making sure that Illyria's kingdom will forever prosper.
Hellfire, hellfire, bring your blood. Hellfire, 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 hellfire. All the men are going down with
Leo invites the bastards to come and take the lives of not only his men, but him as well, even though he's a skilled combatant. What's interesting is that Leo says all of them are going down with us, implying that he expects himself to die along with his men, but somehow miraculously survives.
Those who dream of heaven, those who dream of heaven never last very long. The running flash and dirty sky infect my wounds. We're going home alive. Forgive me, just get me out of this hell.
This line of heaven that Leo spoke of really threw me off when I was first listening to the song, but I was able to attribute it to two separate ideas. The first one is that the heaven that Leo speaks of could be referring to death itself, as those who dream of dying usually do end up dying. However, what's funny is that in this instance, Leo actually doesn't die. The second idea is that Leo might be thinking that heaven is unobtainable for someone like him due to him leading so many young and bright people to their deaths. Hence, he lasts longer than those who think that they are going to heaven. The rotting flesh is obviously referring to the mass amount of bodies that resulted from his war and from his leadership. He calls out to his desolate comrades for forgiveness once more and openly asks someone to then take his life, releasing him from this hell that is warfare. However, since the line is spoken in a different tone, this could be one of Leo's comrades repeating the line that he said from before, leading him to actually ask for forgiveness. Leo once again asks all of those who are left to still fight. Like I said before, I see this as being more of a body check line, as them crying out and swinging their swords are his men, showing that they are in fact still alive.
I must be that way, limbs can't hear my commands, but still I can't see the way home. I am the reaper, took my place in the world, that's why I have to go home.
We can assume by Daisuke's vocal shift here that Leo eventually gets hit. As his life flashes before his eyes, he thinks about all of the horrible things that he has done. He calls himself the Grim Reaper for leading his comrades all to their deaths. However, he still has a job to do, to go home and pay them the respects that they all deserve. As on death's door, he realizes that his life is not about living it for himself, but rather living it for the people who have all fallen before him. As it is now his job to carry out their hopes, dreams, ambitions, and pride. Leo pleads out for someone to call him out on his faulty leadership, as he has led so many people to their death. However, in this, he says 4 important things. That he is 1, just an ordinary soldier, which I interpret as him stating that he is no greater than any other man who has laid out their life on this battlefield. 2, asks the question, will I be on the right side of history, which I interpret as him asking if this much bloodshed is really indicative of the heroes of war that he has read about. 3, states once more that he came home alone today again, which I once again interpret as him saying that so many people have died for him to be able to come back home to Illyria, the place that he swore to protect, and once again states, 4, my people are all dead, but so are those bastards, which I interpret as him stating that my soldiers all fought valiantly and have been rewarded with the demise of our enemies, and it is now my time to pick up the sword once more and finish the job.
Bring it on, you bastards! Hellfire, hellfire! Bring it on, bastards! Hellfire, hellfire! Hellfire, hellfire! I'll never call him down! Hellfire, hellfire! Bring it on, bastards! Hellfire, hellfire! Hellfire, hellfire! All of them are going down with us!
end off with Leo violently welcoming the enemy both so that they can kill him and finally put him out of his misery, and to avenge his fallen comrades, telling them that they will all go down with them, ridding Hellfire, which both is supposed to explain the sheer amount of firepower that Leo himself holds, as well as the punishment that awaits him and his enemies, the never-ending fires of hell. Leo's theme, in essence, is him asking for forgiveness from his fallen comrades, knowing that the best thing to do in order to honor their memory is to continue living on, despite thinking that he is unworthy of that gift. It is a beautifully crafted song that illustrates the feelings of a man who has seen the casualties of war firsthand. The best part is that this is all executed and presented in a way that tries to hide this deep meaning in its explosive or heavy rock sound. It kinda sucks that this is tied to a character that I hate playing against, but oh well. There's not really much that you can do. Be sure to subscribe and let me know what theme I should do next, and be sure to check the description for all of the videos used. With that, be sure to drink water, go play Guilty Gear Strive, and I bid the people farewell.